We'll try this welding with some metal plate that's a little over 1/16 of an inch thick. I'm using a number 1 tip, and we've already set the pressures at 5 pounds oxygen and 5 pounds acetylene. The whole idea of oxyacetylene welding is to use the torch to form a molten puddle of metal. And when you're welding, this puddle is everything. It tells you if you're too hot or too cold. You can see if you're penetrating, and when you add filler metal, you can see it tying in on the sides. You want to be able to understand what's happening with the puddle, and you need to be able to control and manipulate it. I'm going to start with just forming a puddle and moving it across the metal. I won't be adding any filler metal, just moving the puddle. Now if you notice, I have the metal blocked up off the table. This is so the heat doesn't transfer through, or I'd be trying to heat the whole table too. To start the puddle, move the flame down so the inner cone is about 1/8 of an inch off the metal. And keep the tip moving so you don't overheat one spot. I use a little circular motion here. Now this takes some time, so don't get impatient. Once the metal starts melting, keep the torch circling until the puddle is as wide as you want it. With this tip and on this metal, my puddle is about 5/16 of an inch wide. Then keep the torch moving in tight circles and make the puddle move across the metal. Watch the puddle now, not the flame. Watch the front end and the sides. You can see the surface impurities floating off the edges, and you can see the ripples forming behind the molten puddle. Depending on the joint and fit up, you'll sometimes be able to fuse pieces of metal together just by puddling across the joint. In most situations, you'll need to add filler metal to build up weld bead. If you noticed, I was angling the torch about 45 degrees in the direction of the weld. This angle is comfortable for me, and I can see to dip the filler rod into the puddle right under the flame. You can vary this angle a little, but if you get too high, the puddle tends to get real hot. And if the angle is too low, the heat just bounces off the metal. I'm going to fire this up again, use some 1/16 filler rod, and build up some weld bead.